The thing you should know about editors is that they're overworked, underpaid, always stressed, and I didn't like being an editor. It's really hard, it's a hard work and it's a thankless task. And unfortunately, finding new talent is literally the last thing on their list of priorities. They've always got something more important to do. As soon as they get one issue out of the door to the printers, the next one's already late. And it's always every day the next thing, and it's just this relentless machine. And so frankly, I mean, that's why they employ guys like C.B. Cebulski, who are Marvel's talent scouts. That's their job to go and find guys. Because the editors just don't have time. So if you are sending stuff to editors, don't take it personally, okay? It's just that they're really busy, and it's not really their job to find new talent, unfortunately. So that's why, again, I keep banging the drum. Go and make your own comics. Don't try and tell editors what you could do if only they would give you a chance. Just go and do it. Do it for yourself, you know. And the great thing, and then you own it, you know. And then when Hollywood comes knocking on your door, then it's not DC or Marvel that's getting the money for it. It's, you know, it's you. But yeah, when approaching editors, I guess the thing to do is you've got to do your homework. You've got to use your initiative and do your homework. Find out which editors at the company are publishing the kind of stories that you want to tell. So you make sure you approach the right guy. Like when me and Jock wanted to work for Vertigo, we approached Will Dennis, who Garth Ennis had recommended to me as being the good guy at DC, at Vertigo. Because you know, I didn't want to write kind of elves and fairy stories. I wanted to write kind of crime stories, and like Will Dennis is the guy to do. Or I wanted to write Hellblazer, and he was doing Hellblazer, so that's why he was the guy I pitched to. You should start off with a short introductory email first, rather than sending them, you know, the complete works of you kind of thing. And don't send very large attachments, because the email boxes get blocked up, and they'll probably just delete them. Do an introductory email first, just to ask if they would like to see stuff. Tell them who you are, what you've done, big yourself up, without making it sound like you're bigging yourself up too much. Don't brag, but you know, try and sound like a professional. And always assume that the editor is having a really shitty day, because 9 times out of 10 they are. So you know, be courteous, be polite, you know, but don't take it personally when they don't get back to you, because they probably won't. You know, it's just they're really damn busy. So, but no, it's actually very reassuring that most of you seem to want to go and do your own thing anyway, because frankly, that's what I want to do. I'm already in the comics industry, and I'd much rather be create our own miniseries than writing the further adventures of tight-swearing man.
But it's sometimes not a better way to do it, because now you'll have the audience you can take with you.
Yeah, well, yeah, ideally. I mean, but the fact is, comics readers are incredibly conservative. I'm under no illusions about the fact that when I go and do this, create our own book, you know, I don't think that, you know, all my Daredevil fans are going to swoop in and read it, you know.
They might.
They might. Well, some of them might, you know. There's a little bit of crossover, you know. But I don't really have any illusions about that, because, you know, comic readers, I mean, like, you know, big 2 comic readers tend to be very conservative, you know.
Do you find you get more crossover with the art?
I mean,
So do people follow artists more than follow writers?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think both really.
I think for superhero fans, they follow characters, really. You know, you get Daredevil fans rather than Andy Diggle fans, you know. So yeah, so there's that. So that's why I'm under no illusions about them all. You know, the other thing to know is there isn't much money in it. You know, obviously when you're if you're doing like indie comics, and even if you do get it into, you know, sold through Image or whatever, it's not going to sell a huge amount, and it's not going to make you very much money. You do it for the love. You know, you do it because you love comics and you love telling stories. That's why you do it. But you know, if you're trying to do this as a path to riches, then you should be better off, I don't know, selling drugs or something. There'll be a masterclass on drug selling around after this. But yeah, you just do it because you want to tell stories. You know, and if you're serious about wanting to, you know, be a writer, then you should already be telling stories. You know, you should love telling stories for the love of telling stories, and that's what it is. It's just that comics are just another vehicle for the delivery of story. You know, that's all it is. If you can't get excited about your own story, you know, just telling your mates down the pub, then you know, well, I'm not saying you shouldn't be doing comics, but you should be passionate about what you're writing. You should be, you know, frankly, the best thing about this weekend is telling people my ideas for my stories down the pub and getting that reaction. You know when you're onto something. You know when it's a good idea. When, you know, people want to find out what happens next. You know. So I guess we've got to wrap up, haven't we? I guess the last bit of advice I would give is say your lines out loud when you're writing. Because comics dialogue has got to be really tight, because you don't have a lot of room to play with. but you want to try and give each character a very distinctive voice, if possible. I hate comics, there's a certain writer, I should not name, but all his characters sound like some smart ass from New Jersey. Regardless of whether, you know, they're you know, a god or a, you know, whatever, you know. Yeah, to give a useful way of doing it. One, speak your lines out loud. Always tighten them up. Lines of dialogue can never be too short in a comic. Just keep it really tight. And the other thing is, a useful trick I do is I cast actors in my head for the different roles. You don't even have to tell the artist. It can be useful for an artist to say, you know, he's a Brad Pitt type or something. You don't even have to do that. But just in your head, when you're writing it, have an actor in mind who's got, ideally one with a very distinctive delivery style or whatever. And it makes it much, much easier to get their voice right. Just their speech patterns. I'm not saying, you know, trying to impersonate an accent or something, but you get a speech pattern. Like, for example, when I was doing The Losers, Pooch was Ving Rhames in my head. He's got like a very slow, drawl kind of delivery style. And the lines just kind of sprang to mind very easily. Like, I find it very easy to get his voice. Whereas Jensen, I imagine being Steve Zahn from Out of Sight. He's this very nervous, edgy, you know, like a gabbly kind of way of speaking. And even on the page, you know, somehow that just, I think that comes through. Like you find that they do have slightly different speech styles. So it's just a useful little trick anyway. But yeah, say your lines out loud and tell your stories to your mates and see what their reaction is. Because you just want to look in their eye, because they'll all tell you it's great, all right? But you get the look in their eye, you can tell whether they're into it, whether you've got them hooked, you know, whether you've got a good story that way. All right, well, thanks very much for coming, everybody.